All right, Minifans, welcome back to Minifandom. I'm, of course, your host, Menas. I'm joined by a former Hall of Fame Minifan, Tim in Canton. Tim, how are you?
Hey, buddy. Listen, I gotta get going. I'm out.
What? You got another mysterious leg cramp that's come
It
out of
wasn't
nowhere?
mysterious. Number one, it was a spasm, and number two, I'm not a Hall of Famer. I was a potential Hall of Famer who's been was I have a 2 year hiatus now before I can even be considered.
Mm,
Yeah,
it's
yeah. How
been
you doing, buddy?
I'm doing well. So, for those listening on the podcast, we're actually doing this radio style. So, I'm actually streaming it live on Twitter and YouTube. Um, we're still obviously releasing it on the podcast feed for those listening live. But I know Tim's such a fan of live radio. I thought we could
Love it.
and also I enjoy some sort of sick pleasure in the fact that I know Mud at Night usually gets two listeners, and you're one of
Oh,
them.
come
So,
on. Lay
so
off
we're
of the mutt, man. Come
so we're,
on.
so we're effectively we're not only are we going against him, but we're effectively halving his audience just by doing this now.
Well, you just promoted him, so he's got his regulars. Bud in Connecticut will be listening to him tonight.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm a big Mutt. I'm a big Mutt guy. Let me just retweet this. We're live on Twitter and on YouTube. So this episode of Minifandom is dedicated to Lauren Lynn, who is
Oh, dedications.
she's celebrating her birthday today, and I just
Oh,
want to send birthday wishes from myself, the whole Minifandom production crew, and yeah, just send her all lots of love. Hope she has a beautiful birthday. She's a wonderful woman. I reminisce fondly about the time we spent together when I was there for the Wilbur show. So I hope she has a great day and she gets spoiled.
I too hope she has a wonderful day. Although it's wrapping up for us here, I hope it was a great day for
Oh
her.
yeah,
And I'm just so glad that you were able to share those thoughts and memories with her because I know
mm.
that she holds a special place in your heart.
Yeah. I'm disappointed I'm not closer to
Yeah.
Maine, so I couldn't celebrate with her and maybe anyway whatever. It's just
Virgin, I gotta say, for someone who came to the states for 3 weeks from how many miles? 10,000 miles away.
yeah.
You did a fair bit of stalking, so you can take that. You can take pride in that.
Yeah, she wasn't uncomfortable at all.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah, just ready to stab you with a heel, right?
Yeah. Dear. Yeah. Anyway, couldn't quite slip the date rape drugs into a drink at any time. I tried, but you never know. Um, for those listening, it's a usual Minifandom. Hold it.
Well, are you
We've
sure
got
about that? Because Red's not here, so how is that usual?
because he quit the show. So we've got
What?
taking care of
Is
business.
this
And
news?
well, have you been listening to Minifandom at all?
Yes. Wait, you did what? 3 wrap-up post Wilbur
Four
shows?
four wrap up shows. I did one with Jamie. I did one with McFuss Daddy and
Montante.
Tim, sorry, I did the 4 wrap up shows. Then I did 3 since I got back. So
Oh, yeah, that must be the one I missed. Sorry. I do listen to Minifandom all
so
the
you
time.
missed the 3.
That
You
you
missed the
announced it.
3. You missed the 3 shows I did since I got back.
I might have been turtled at that point, so I may have been distancing myself
Fair enough.
a little bit. Plus, the light should shine brighter on the winners, not on the loser.
Okay, so so since I got back, I've done one with Jamie, I've done one with McFuss Daddy and Tim, and that's true, and I did one with Mike Cologne last week. I
Oh,
think
that's
you
right.
really
That's right.
Did you listen to that one?
Not yet. Nope.
Okay, well, that's just killed the first segment. And also for those listening, I'm going to play Tim's famous Howard Stern call later in the show. So that's a pro tease right there. Let's get into taking care of business.
You should have
So
sound effects, don't you think? Like, TCB is kind of your segment that you're known for. You should have some sort of sound effect.
well, it's not my segment. It's a tribute to the New Hampshire cast. It's stolen from Ethan and Chris's
Oh
show.
yeah, would never want to listen to that. Can't say.
Yes, it's a
I know what you're
fantastic
talking
show,
about.
and I would not
Oh
want
my
to.
god, who do you love more, Ethan or Lauren Lynn?
Oh, Lauren by a long way, but
By a long way or
yeah,
close?
absolutely. I mean, have you seen a figure? I mean,
Yeah, Lauren Lynn's a gorgeous woman, and she's a great person too.
She's a 10 out of 10. Yeah, in every way.
Now, where's Ethan? 8 out of 10.
Well, in terms of like regrets from the Europe, the American adventure, not meeting Ethan was a big one. I got to say, not meeting Ethan was very annoying. What's his name? Chris Clemmer promised that I would meet Ethan, and it never
he
happened.
did. Oh, yep. Okay. Well, probably not good timing.
Yeah. All right, so let's get into taking care of business. So, since the last Minifandom, I was on Meeting of the Minds, and as I've said many times, if I'm on Meeting of the Minds, I'm at rock bottom. So that's just
meeting. Can we just clarify? Meeting of Minds is John from Scranton in crew.
Yeah, it's not a show. It's just to catch up. They're all, lonely guys. They've got nothing to do every night, so they go live, and no one watches. But if I'm at my lowest ebb, and last week it was my cat dying, so I jumped on, and Tim Ridgels was there.
R.I.P. Charlie.
That's right, R.I.P. Charlie. Beautiful cat. Lived to 20, almost 20. So great innings. Went peacefully.
That cat was as old as my minivan that I just got rid of. So I feel your pain. I literally just got rid of my 19-year-old 2003 Toyota Santa Fe. So can we just have a moment of silence?
Are you fucking brain damaged? I lost my cat and you're comparing it to a minivan.
Well, we both suffered losses.
Bullshit. Mine's a living, breathing animal. Yours is an inanimate object. I mean,
this was my girl. She got us to Florida a few times. Myrtle Beach.
Fucking heart, you prick.
Well, you've learned I am heartless.
I'm not Justin. Don't be such a prick to me. So, look, I was on Meeting of the Minds, and Tim Ridgels, out of nowhere, said that he felt targeted by me when he came on Minifandom after the cast sleepover. And he brought up a couple of examples that I brought up a few times, that I'd got a message from Tim Ridgels when he was in the car, and I wasn't sure if that was within the rules. So he felt I targeted him there. And then he felt I targeted him by asking him about Montante's pseudo-racist comments. And it was just very weird from Tim to feel targeted when those that listened to the episode, and Tim hasn't, I should have told the dickhead to listen. I mean, where are you?
Where am I right now?
Can you drive somewhere?
Yeah, only about 40 miles, but I'm down in lovely Plymouth, Massachusetts for vacation. Just started today.
Talking to Blind Mike's daddy in the car the whole way there.
I actually did call him. I called him. I talked to Steve from Providence, and then some of my other friends. So I just started vacation. I'm in. You know what Plymouth is all about, right?
Yeah, isn't it where the first settlers landed?
Right. Where we kicked the Indians' asses. So I'm going to do a little bit of that this week while I'm here.
Okay, if you want to talk about kicking
my
Indians'
asses, my own Plymouth Rock.
You're going to go on Montante's World for that stuff. All right,
yes.
For those listening who've actually listened to Minifandom, unlike my stupid co-host.
I know. I'm sorry. I'm way behind.
In lots of ways. Look, Tim, just let me know if you think I victimized Tim Ridgels in that episode.
You did.
Whatever.
I didn't hear it. I didn't hear it yet.
The next one, I was going to ask Tim if he thought Mike Cologne was a legit Minifan after listening to my episode with him. But so I'll ask the audience that.
Wait, can I just ask you a question? If I may. Yes. We've gotten to know each other a little bit. We spent some quality time together, I feel.
Absolutely.
Is this the Minifandom show about KMS, or is it about the Minifandom show about Minifandom show? Which is going to blow my mind if that's what it is.
Because you haven't listened to Minifandom in so long, you've forgotten the way the show works. TCB, it's all inside show stuff. And this is the segment Kirk Minahan just goes plus 30, plus 30, plus 30, plus 30 till we get to talking about him. But as I've said many, many times, Minifandom is not a reaction show. It's an extension of KMS. Some would say it's an extra episode every week.
Some. Okay. All right. Thank you for clarifying. And I think I bring it up, Menace, because I think some of your newer fans may not know what that is. Not us older fans who have been listening from day one. Who, by the way, was one of your biggest supporters when you wanted to bail, and I said, "Don't. You got to keep it going. You got to." And you came right back and said, "I'm not bailing."
Yep. Yeah. And Tim, you've been a great supporter. You were a great host when I was in the Northeast, taking me around. We had a great day at Sullivan's, eating lobster by the water there. Unfortunately,
Nice
met Andrew
sights.
Augustus. Yeah. Oh, here I've got a big surprise for you, Andrew Augustus. Jesus, what a letdown.
Surprise is in the eye of the beholder, but I apologize. I'm not caught up yet. I'm way, way, way behind. I have a new job, so I'm way behind on my podcast and my prank calls. Yes,
sure you do. You're just upset after what happened in the car, and just on Mike Cologne.
Yes,
he's a radio guy, so I really think you're going to like him. So you have to listen to Kirk's interview with him, then you have to listen to the episode he did on Minifandom. I'm not sure he's like a legit Minifan. Like I think he's kind of one of those people that's. Well, I don't know. I just
like maybe seeing the light a little bit, like seeing if it can jump some of that spotlight.
I did think that, but then actually they asked him to go into studio and he couldn't because it was too far from his home. So I'm thinking if he wanted the spotlight, you'd go into studio no matter how far. So it just maybe it's just the fact that he's not your regular Minifan. He's a 22-year-old young guy. Just not your African American. Just not. He's
no. Does he have a big cock?
Well, I'm not going into stereotypes, but he's just not.
Whoa! What are you talking about?
Well, he's African American. He's African American.
So what does that mean?
Well, you said
it has nothing to do with it. Just curious if you asked.
You said, does he have a big cock? Yes.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, I remember those questions being bandied about when you were here. But anyway.
Yes. Anyway, I'm not going into stereotypes, Tim. But all right. So before we get into stuff, I just want to maybe just back over what happened in the car, Tim. So I don't think you had a leg cramp. I just think
I didn't.
It was just a bit of a panic. You were just like a bit of claustrophobia, a bit of a moment of clarity when you thought, what the fuck am I doing with my life with these losers? And you just bailed. And you just snapped for a second.
I didn't. I never said I had a cramp. I had it was a very small spasm.
A very small spasm.
Which
sounds very mental to me.
No, I legit had a small, it was tiny. It was like pins and needles. It wasn't, it wasn't like my leg was shaking or anything. So let me just clarify, because I like to accuracy. So I never said it was a cramp. It was a spasm.
Which didn't happen.
You are definitely right in a few respects. My brain was so cooked. All I could start thinking when I got that little spasm, we had just done, I think it was 20, 25 minutes with the windows closed and the heat on high, sweating our bags off. And prior to that, Justin was stabbing us with a mini lightsaber. I had to keep protecting my nuts to keep it from getting, so I couldn't have it. Well, I can't have any more kids, but that's neither here nor there. So there was definitely, absolutely, I've said it before, 100% self-reflection. I can't make this. So do I bail now, or do we see how far I can go? That's it.
And do you regret talking up such a good game in the lead up?
Absolutely not. Nope.
Okay.
Nope.
And what about afterwards? What about afterwards where
I had the coldest beer of my life. It was delicious. It was so good.
When you got home, yeah? When you got home.
No, I went back to Shoppers to get my car, which was right out front. Those guys are so great. I had spot A number 2 right out front, smack dab. Put my bag away after the Uber driver dropped me off. Put my bag in the car, went inside, and Joey was still there. And he's one of the owners, big Minifan. And I was just having a beer, and then he came out and spotted me. He's like, "What the hell are you doing here?" And had a nice ice cold beer, which I paid for, by the way. I did not ask, and nor did I receive, even though it was offered. And it was just delicious. And so I think I had 2 beers, and then the wife was calling me. And I told her I was already out and would be on my way home.
And do you regret the way you spoke to Justin in the wake of that? I mean, you did, force him out of the show, basically.
If it forced him out of the show, yes, then I regret it. Like I said, when they called me, I was trying to be funny, and then I definitely got mad. Fully admit that. I was pissed. Like, how the fuck am I going to walk? I think it was 3.9 miles through. I mean, Watertown and Waltham, they're not horrible, but it was a 4 mile walk. I don't want to be doing it, carrying my bag. I just wanted to get home. And I was a cranky little baby. Absolutely. So it went from trying to be funny to being genuinely pissed to realizing I could really get screwed over right now. Justin could say, "Yeah, I'll drive you," and then not drop me off or drive me further away. And so, what are the stages of when you're facing death, like Charlie did? What is it?
Oh, grief,
Denial,
denial, anger, all that stuff.
yes.
Seven
Acceptance.
stages?
Yeah, acceptance, and then grief. So then there was there was acceptance. Then I was fine. The air was nice and cool. Walked up to Dunkin' Donuts, watched a couple drug addicts get in a fight with each other. And
Definitely
then,
Minifans.
well, here's the funny thing. So
Jay and someone else.
no, so leave my man Jay alone. So while I was waiting for my Uber at Dunkin', this couple, all strung out, you could tell the type. They yelling at each other, incoherent, talking over each other. There was no subject to what they were arguing about, and that's when Justin pulled up. And I just said, "Are you my Uber? Can you take my car now?" And he said, "No, we actually have to find somebody to get in the car to take your place." And they went and asked. Oh no, they didn't ask. I think they asked the girl that was the strung out couple that was fighting. So I think they dodged a literal bullet there by her saying no.
Mm.
Yeah, very exciting.
Yeah, great story. And look,
Yeah,
one thing I think
story.
is Marta Knight's winning that segment. One thing I think that is wonderful about you, Tim, is that you have the ability to laugh at yourself. So I think there was a fear amongst Kirk and many of the other Minifans that maybe that would be a sort of, I don't know, a fork in the road moment that night. And maybe Tim and Canton wouldn't be the same afterwards. But because you can laugh at yourself, I think it's a good quality.
Oh, thank you. Yes, I absolutely can laugh at myself. When I trip, I laugh at myself because I laugh at other people when they trip. When I do it myself, even with nobody around, I still laugh. But you do bring up a good point. I did actually realize there was something I can't do. I cannot overcommit to things like physical things. I think I just realized, like you said, afterwards, I was like, I think I'm too old to think I can do this shit anymore. I don't feel my age, but I'm telling you, Menace, I was baking like a fucking turkey on Thanksgiving in that car. And your mind starts running. I'm like, there's no way I can. I psych myself out of it. I'm looking at these other two guys, younger guys, just staying the course, doing what they had to, just
yeah,
whatever,
Yeah, exactly. And I couldn't do it. I said I could never commit to something like that. And you're late 50, so I can only imagine how much harder it is.
I am early, not even mid. I'm early. And by the way, you wouldn't have noticed, but when they did the Minifans across America, of course, there was no way I was going to commit to anything there, except for what do you call it? Like financial support. If they needed money to buy supplies and shit, I was going to donate the money for that.
Yeah, and you didn't mind all the drug use going on in the back of the car. There were some rumors that you exited because you didn't want to be so close to illicit
I love
substances.
the rumors. I love the rumors. No, I mean, except for the meth, that was a little over the top when they when Justin broke out the meth pipe.
That's a real Georgia thing. That's a real. I think
McFuss Daddy. No, there was nothing of the sort. Kirk was pretty clear. He doesn't want drunk people or wasted people. And man, being in that car, I got to give them credit. I don't know how they did it. I really don't. My wife and I were laying in bed watching that finale, the last half hour, and she kept saying, "There's no way you could have made it. No way."
So you and your wife were lying in bed listening to that.
Oh, it was so glorious. Nice, cozy bed. It was a nice, beautiful morning. Yes.
Great. Sounds romantic. All right, that's taking care of business. Let's get into the show stuff. And I want to start with probably the most astounding piece of stupidity since we last recorded. Tim, did you know Sean Connery was Batman?
That was so great. I think you asked me before, and I couldn't make a decision. You said, who do I like more, Cullinane or Steve? These last few weeks, I'm 100% a Cullinane. Cullinane's my guy now. He cracks me up every day. The stuff he says, I don't know where it comes from. I have a friend who's, I think, seen 3 movies in his whole life, so I get it. But Dave, at least my friend will say I have no clue, but Dave will just think he knows the answer, and it's so preposterous, it makes it spectacular. And then he laughs at himself, But that is, I mean, no, I know you're offended because you're a huge Bond fan, and by the way, I'm glad to hear that talking about Bond movies is no longer part of Minifandom, because that got kind of monotonous. But I know you were.
Yeah, I know you just told the most boring story, but you just made the
well, I'm
Justin
not a
Carr thing
professional,
so
obviously.
boring. Well,
I could. Well, I know you want. I know you. People want me to.
Do you remember going to see Doctor? Do you remember going to see Dr. No in the movies when you were a kid?
No. Nope.
Yeah, sure you did. Sure you did. You saw a premiere.
I think I saw. I don't know, but Connery is Batman. That's outstanding. Like you should have him on. Just ask him, like, where is your mind? Like, what is it that makes you think that could have been him? Like, I could see if he thought like someone that kind of looks like Michael Keaton. Oh, they were Batman and they weren't. Like Bruce Willis in his younger days. I could see you confusing the two if you don't watch movies. But Sean Connery, it's such a reach. It's outstanding.
Yeah, it was great stuff. Just on Dave Cullinane, so I jumped in into
a 9.5 in his neighborhood or in his
he's
world.
A 9.5. Now that 9.5. It'd be 10 if it wasn't for the hair loss. I did a live wrap-up show a couple of weeks ago, and
it was excellent. I saw that.
Thank you. It's nice
to meet you talk about ripping the meat off the bone. Freaking body wasn't even cold yet. You're already doing a live wrap-up. But go ahead.
Well, Kirk,
you see your chance, you take it. I gotcha.
Got to shoot your shot. And in the wake of that, I've made approaches to Dave Cullinane about bringing back Mena's Live. So I think the network would really benefit from a live call-in show hosted by myself. And look, Dave's been really busy. So this was a couple of weeks ago. So I'm hoping, sometime in 2022, maybe 2023, Cullinane can talk to someone about this. I know there's a huge bureaucracy at KMS, so these things take ages, but hopefully Mena's Live can come back.
I loved that show, as you know. We called in a few times. I love Mena's Live, but I know this isn't the Q&A section, but can I ask you a question?
Of course.
How pissed are you going to be when the new intern who's been there for one day has authority over the YouTube channel?
Not at all. I was given access to go live. Yep, I was given access, and
you have come a long way. That's nice to see, buddy.
I logged out, and I don't have access anymore. But Cullinane trusted me. He gave me his login basically, and away we went. So yeah, I think my trip to the States has been a real bridge builder.
But do you see where they're coming from? Because this was a bone of contention between you and I. I don't think fans should have access to the channel. I'm a great example, right? What if Kirk put his trust in me to make it through that whole night in the car and I failed? I'm a fucking fan. You can't depend on us. Now, you and I disagree on that because you're very passionate about wanting keys to the channel. But do you see the to get serious for a second, I know you're in the industry, right? So I know you get that. But do you understand the trepidation of having a fan going live? Because they don't work for Barstool. You could crash the whole thing and get them suspended by having, not you, right? I think I can't speak for them, but I would think that they could trust you to an extent. But what if you have somebody on that's a loose cannon and all of a sudden they're saying inappropriate things? And it's on the YouTube channel.
Absolutely. I do not think that's a valid reason. I think over the number of, I've been I don't know, doing KMS content for almost 3 years now, so there should be
Yeah.
some level of trust there. It's not that I want access, actually. It's just that I want to be able to do a show. So if Cullinan would say, "Hey, I've got this new intern who can produce Manners Live, he'll do the show with you," I'd be just as happy with that. I just want results, Tim. I'm a results-driven guy, and I look at the network and I see nothing there. How to solve that? Oh, just let Manners log in once a week to do a live show. Here's the ground rules. Here's who you can't have on, go from there. But also, I'm over it now, Tim. I'm over it.
Yeah. All right. I'm picking a wound. I apologize for that.
I'm very happy with Minifandom. You know, I like doing this as a podcast. It's very easy to do. It's not so time consuming. So that's where we are with that. All right. How good was the whole Rough and Rowdy week leading up to it? Then the actual hammering that Cupcake took. It was a great week.
It was so entertaining. It had, I mean, I'm not a WWE fan, but I understand why people are, because I have a friend who is, and he always said it's not about the ring, it's about the storylines. He always said it's the storylines, and he liked that. People like soap operas. I think the buildup was outstanding. I was totally into it. There are other things Kirk has been behind, and I'm like, it's not my cup of tea. That was fantastic. I mean, the trash talking, the lineage. I mean, the grandfather on down of Alex Bennett's in-laws, and the way it's done was just spectacular. It was so entertaining. I loved it, and I didn't even see the fight. I was at the Patriots game.
Okay, well, I actually
trying to rub that in for people who couldn't go. I was at the game, just so you know.
Yeah, well, I actually bought Rough and Rowdy, and it was really good. It was good distraction after having to put my cat down. And
still not over this cat. Okay, so was it a good fight?
So I'm not into fighting, and I felt kind of a bit dirty watching it. But I thought Rough and Rowdy was
really
fun.
How come?
I'm just not into fighting. It's not one of my sports that I watch, and I'm not judging people that do, but I kind of enjoyed Rough and Rowdy because it wasn't serious. Most of the punches were, most of them were missing the punches. There was a few decent fighters mixed in there, but you had the little people, you had the Barstool people. It was just a good, entertaining show. I enjoyed Portnoy and Big Cat's commentary. I enjoyed when Kirk got in on the commentary. I have to say, Alex Bennett looked smoking fucking hot fighting in that pink outfit. She was a 10 out of 10, and she killed Cupcake. Cupcake completely choked.
Well, from what they said, and I do like boxing. I'm not a rabid fan, but I've been to plenty of live fights, local fights, and I used to work for a guy who was big into boxing, so I learned a tiny bit about it. So it sounds like technically, because there's a science to it, right? That she technically was a very good boxer, but this was Rough and Rowdy, and this was more of a street fight, and that she did not street fight Alex Bennett, and Alex Bennett did, which is interesting. That's how MMA is. It didn't evolve from boxing. These are people who didn't want to box; they wanted a street brawl.
Cupcake froze. She did not throw a punch. Bennett looked honestly, she looked so hot.
The reach was a lot different, right? Alex is a lot taller.
Yeah.
But and the last thing is, I know what you're saying. That look, I know what you mean. That sporty look, the hair's all in braids. I know exactly what you mean. There's some women fighters that can really pull that off. Sounds like Alex is one of them.
I shouldn't be talking about Alex like that on Lauren's birthday, but forgive me.
I hope she forgives.
So Kirk saved Rough and Rowdy. So the figures have come out. I think Portnoy said they sold 40,000 pay-per-views, which I think they sort of aimed for about 50K, and they were talking about 70K. But it sounds like to me Kirk saved Rough and Rowdy, because there would have been 10,000 Minifans that signed up for sure. It would have been actually probably an unsuccessful Rough and Rowdy if it wasn't for Kirk adding this element to it that wasn't there. Him inserting himself in the Cupcake v Bennett rivalry was another evidence of Kirk's genius. It was, Bennett brought it on herself by siding with Clemmer, but it was a masterstroke by Kirk. He saved Rough and Rowdy. He made Barstool, an extra, $1 million probably.
Totally agree. Like I said, I didn't watch it. If I were home, I was going to get it just for that one fight. So I couldn't agree more because I've never watched a Rough and Rowdy. I've seen clips and stuff. Listened to those guys that Kirk has had in the past that have fought in Rough and Rowdy, but never have subscribed to it. And I would have only because of what Kirk was saying. And you're so right. What a promoter. I mean, I know Erica's not. She's not a promoter. She is content. She has her own podcast. And even the Barstool people, the way they got behind Alex was so lame. Hey, we're in Alex's corner. Hey, let's go out. You know what I mean? It was like very casual, very, very pedestrian support, whereas Kirk got way behind his fighter, way behind. And that was awesome.
And it made last week so entertaining when he went at Content Kim, that fucking idiot, when he went at everybody. I mean, it was, again, another testament to Kirk's genius. You know, the show's never been better. There you go. Bingo. Sign your bingo cards. We got it in there. What about the show? This is where I think you would have got a real kick, was the show before Rough and Rowdy in that radio station. It was very bizarre. It was such an odd show, but what did you think of it?
You're so right. I friggin' loved it. I listened to it again yesterday. I think because like you had said, I love local radio stations. Absolutely love them. Like where I am in Plymouth, there's a station down here that Kirk has talked about getting an FM, getting a gig on here to just DJ or something. It's very local. I love the local talk. It gets, I mean, it's down to the point of, somebody in town called, this is on Shattuck Show, called the police on a woman whose puppy was in the car, and that was big news in town, right? I love that shit. And hearing Kirk talk about it, and then the insight that he has with what's his name, Swan, I think it was Paul Swan.
Yeah, Paul Swan. Yeah,
was awesome, and he was so right because I'm
surprised you haven't called this station in the past. Like you're like, oh yeah, I know this station. I've called like 10 times.
No, I do have. I do have a list of stations on an Excel spreadsheet. I'm such a loser.
I know.
But it's now on my list. But I thought it was really interesting what they both had to say and how Paul was saying, or the owner was saying, hey, I convinced the bank we're actually doing better than we ever have because people want local content. I don't know how it is in Australia, but over here, like so many stations are now Odyssey or iHeart. It's all the same. Menace, it impacts me directly because when I look for shows to call, you can't call any of these like typical AM stations that are all talk. They simulcast the same exact talent. Hannity, Dana Lash, whoever it might be, it's all the same across all these stations from Maine to Alaska. They all have the same content. And Paul's ESPN, same thing. That's why I don't like sports radio mostly, because if you listen to ESPN, it's not local. It's national coverage. I don't really give a shit about, other than Boston teams, maybe a few other teams, and that's it. I don't really care to hear, the trades that are happening in Seattle. I don't give two shits. So I love what they were sharing about their love for local radio. And I always think of what Kirk was saying. One time he was on a drive back from California, I think, and he was saying that on the local radio they were reading the school lunch menu. I love that. There's a few stations left. They're they're in the hinterlands. They're in northern Vermont, northern New Hampshire. So
you got a bit of a taste of it when Kirk
loved it. Did you like it?
And it was fine. I thought it was a fucking huge miss, and Kirk should have shredded Carl for this. He got that SMS to go on live radio and promote Rough and Rowdy, and he just didn't see the SMS. So, he missed it for 40 minutes. He's such a, I'm not going to say it, but I don't know how you can miss that message for 40 minutes and cost Kirk a chance of going on live radio. And then he has to do this odd show with them where he's
in the future, in the past.
In the future. And it was just like, I mean, yeah, that was a bit of a swing and a miss for Carl there. I don't know how you can miss that message.
And I'm not pouring salt in the wound because I tweeted this out. I was listening a lot of Minifans. We were listening to the station. We were listening to Big John, and he at one point he said, "Yeah, apparently there's a couple of Barstool guys here that want to come in, and I don't know where they are. We've been waiting for them, or something to that effect." But he acknowledged that they were in the building.
What an idiot,
But
Carl.
he said
What
he
an
didn't know
idiot.
where they were. So I don't know what happened there, but
He's empty head, Cullinane.
it
Sorry, I
sounded
shouldn't
like
have
an
said
odd.
that.
It sounded
Shouldn't
like
have
an
said
odd setup too. Like they just kind of walked in and sat in someone's studio. It seemed like,
that.
and just did their own show within that studio. I mean,
Yeah,
that
which
guy
is
Paul
nice.
came in and said it's his.
Yeah. All right. So that was that show. There's an issue floating around. I'm really curious on someone, wise, heading towards their 60s, would
We're
not
all
think
heading
about
that
this.
way, my friend.
Um,
Every
you
one of
know,
us.
the OnlyFans issue, right? So the fact that these
Yes.
Barstool people have
Yeah.
started their OnlyFans account. So I think I think Dave and Erica are absolutely kidding themselves to think this is not a bad thing, because people will, instead of interacting on the Barstool platforms, will then be interacting with these people just on OnlyFans. So
But
these people are
using
going, but these people
using
are using.
Barstool to promote
Yeah,
it.
they're using their
Yeah.
using their
Yeah.
Barstool audience
Yes.
to bring them into their
Yes.
OnlyFans, and then all these people will just stay on that platform and won't interact as much with the Barstool stuff. So they are taking money out of Barstool's pocket, and then as well, one of them said, "Oh, it's a full-time job keeping up with it." So not only are they taking money, but they're taking time away from their real job.
I do not understand it. It's business. I know this is content and talent, but in my world, so I sell one line of products, and very part time, just casually even, I sell something else. It's in technology. They're both in technology, but I have a day job. If I were to be calling on one of my clients and brought up what I sell on the side, I would be fired that day. I don't understand the
Exactly.
difference. They say in some companies you work for, they'll say you have to get approval if you want a second job. Now mine's very
Exactly.
close to what I do. It's not competing, but it's very close. But I could leverage those relationships that I got through my day job to sell something on the side where I might make more money. That's not allowed. I'm with you. I don't understand it. And then I'm with Dave. I don't get how they think it's like you said, that it's not a big deal. And it yes, they're not going to keep the subscribers they have. Like they even said, the renewals are not that high, blah, blah, blah. So the money will go down. But if you have a platform where you can promote yourself to a huge, massive audience and then go and do it on your own, even not if it's not during work time. But what if you're out on used to be a cigarette break, or you go to get a coffee and do an OnlyFans for 10 minutes? Whose money is that? You're supposed to be working 9 to 5, right?
Exactly.
I don't get it either.
No. So I think I'd like Carl to start his own OnlyFans or KMS and see what happens.
I'm not convinced that Dave, that I was asking that question. I called in the other day. I asked it incorrectly. I'm not convinced that Dave doesn't have his own OnlyFans. Maybe like it for people with a foot fetish and he's posting stuff. I don't know. He's very upset.
Balding guys, that kind of thing.
Balding guys bawling. So yeah, I'm with you. I don't get it. But I'll ask you this question. It is like any job. There's haves and have nots, right? So are any of the people who are actually making all that money right now on OnlyFans? I'm not a big stoolie, but I haven't heard any names that I recognize. But do you think it would be different if Dan Katz was doing it? Dan Katz from Newton, Massachusetts, by the way, not Chicago. If Dan Katz was doing that and raking in, let's face it, a lot more money, maybe doing some picks on OnlyFans, would there be a different issue?
No, I think it's. I don't think it's a Boston Big Cat thing. I think it's what Kirk said, that they sprout all these feminist. They're very pro empowering women, and I think Erica feels that if she were to just come in and say, "Oh, you can't do this," it would be against her. I think it should be.
That's an excellent point, but who
You could just say, let's split the money. You could just say, okay, you can all do your OnlyFans. 50% of the revenue goes to Barstool, 50% to you. Everybody wins, you know?
Well, I
There's,
yes, but I also wonder, like Kirk, somebody has said before, Dave's the smartest dumb person they've ever met, or is the dumbest smart person they ever met. Whatever it is, Dave's wildly successful. Successful. I wonder if there is something that he's got in his mind that he's going to do, and will change things. I don't know, but I mean, the guy's, you can't argue with his success. So I don't know. Maybe there's something else at play. But I think
all
it's
right.
crazy. I think it's totally crazy.
All right. Moving on. Next
Moving on.
point. I bet you
I
like
got to
it
go get
when.
some seafood and kick some Indian ass soon, by the way.
Well, how long have you got?
No, I got plenty of time.
Good. Because we've got a few more show things. Then we've got listener questions. We'll get your Stern call in there.
Oh,
A lot of
yeah, that's
listener
right.
questions.
Thank you.
Minifan World. So, only probably another hour to go. All right. Don't laugh. You don't listen to the show anymore. You don't know what goes on.
Stop it.
You were so sensitive about the car thing. You went,
No,
I'm not going to
no.
listen to
Listen.
Minifandom because they'll be fucking railing me on that
No,
show. I don't want to
nope,
cry
nope,
into my
nope,
beer again.
nope.
Have you crying there at Shoppers Cafe? I failed.
It's so cold. It was so
Mike's
delicious.
Daddy.
This Corona light. So,
DMD. Let's call somebody.
first of all,
Where's Shattuck? Sorry, continue.
and I appreciate that you respect privacy, but I will say that you asked me to come on, and I said I don't think it's the right time, because I firmly believe the loser shouldn't get the spotlight. The loser should get the shit kicked out of them. I totally agree with that. But right after that happened, that I bailed, and the spotlight should be on McFuss Daddy and Tim. I wanted to give them their due. Now is my time to get my ass kicked. I did a Twitter Spaces on the drive to the event, and people were awesome. I'm going to do a Twitter Spaces, get on there and kick the crap out of me. It's only right, and it is just. That's all. Yep. And I did try to call in a couple times previously, but I didn't get to my call. But I was on the line twice.
Yeah, well, a
Not
good bounce back
it.
call. I think was it Monday's show? You did a good call, so well done. But I bet you like it when Kirk goes to the hairdresser, because he always comes back with a little story. So I don't know if you remember last week he went.
Okay, you can remember. I was writing notes like it was going out of style.
So
the guy had 41 ideas.
Yes, for sitcoms. Yes. And I just love like the image that Kirk is painting of, they're heading into these little fucking dive barbers, and Kirk sitting there just soaking it all up, because Kirk loves that sort of, I don't know, he seems to love those sort of very salt of the earth type places.
Says it all the time, right? He wants like Mayberry RFD. He wants to. There's a barber shop. There's a diner where you can have a cup of Joe and listen to people talk. That's his dream, right? That's his dream world. And that description was so great. So especially with Harry afterwards saying the guy was a weirdo or whatever. It was strange, but Kirk's ears must have, or his eyes must have just almost popped out of his head when he heard this guy talking. Doing the semi-typical barber lines, right? Like, you're gonna get your hair cut? No, gonna get them all cut. The jokes he likes to say. But that was a wild story. I wish he got that guy's name and got him on the show. I think that would be incredible.
Agree. All right, couple more things. No surprises, but Minifans across America is done. I think I don't want to I don't know. I think Kirk had a bad day. I think Kirk was feeling a bit elevated after the Wilbur when he came up with the Minifans across America idea, but it seemed to me wildly unrealistic and from the get-go. And
conceptual, conceptually outstanding. Wants to give back, wants to donate money, raise money, donate money, use this platform. That's awesome. Logistically, soon as they were talking about how it was going to happen, what a fucking logistical nightmare. And just the small, simple things like where do people meet? Where do they hand off? How far are people going to go? Like Kirk was saying, well, What if someone can't make it that day? What if they've committed and they can't be there? And it's easy. It's easy in some areas, like Northeast is so dense, but you get into the Midwest, you're in the middle of nowhere for long, long distances. So hopefully there'll be some sort of iteration of that, maybe like a virtual
Yeah, or like
Minifans
something
across
simple,
America.
like I thought like Minifans marching on Barstool HQ, like from Boston to New York, and you end in Barstool HQ where they all hate the Minifans.
They
Anyway,
do hate us. They do. And
so
from Dave on down, what does he call us? Wildlings?
wildly, yeah. I
Yeah.
actually think though, and I said this after the Wilbur, I think Dave Portnoy's changed. I think when he saw that Wilbur, he, as I said before, he just, I know you didn't listen to the show, so you wouldn't know this, but he saw old Barstool in that audience, and I think he actually started to respect the Minifans and respect KMS more because it's the sort of passion that he used to engender.
Yeah, I don't know if respect is the word. I guess it would be because you don't have to like something or somebody to respect it. He will never like us. But I agree. I think he said, but he has said that forever. He's like, Kirk's fans are crazy, But Kirk is the only one that treats his fans as the other person in the studio. You never hear these guys, and they're successful, but they do shows that are of interest to people and entertain them. I don't know. I can't talk to it, but it doesn't seem like there's a lot of shows on Barstool that engage the audience. And they just don't. That's not what they do. A lot of them are betting shows and shit. But Kirk embraces it, and Dave cannot deny the talent that Kirk's got. That Wilbur, the two Wilbur shows are just amazing. It's amazing.
Best, one of the best nights of my life.
Second to when you had lunch with Lauren.
Yeah, it was dinner, and that was amazing. Unforgettable. She looked 12 out of 10. So next thing from last week, I don't know if you remember, there was a bit of tension when Blind Mike brought up that Chris Klemmer's wife had unsubscribed from the Blind Mike project.
Yeah.
And that sort of flowed into the Blind Mike project, and now I think Chris and his wife have unsubscribed from the Blind Mike project.
Have. Okay. Yeah.
I thought it was a bit weird for Chris to get upset about that. I thought everything they said on the show was very tame. I don't think they used Chris's wife as sport or as content. So I thought Chris maybe took that to heart a bit too much. I would just let it go.
I agree. I agree. I think he took it to heart, and it's hard not to take things personal. I mean, we're all human beings. If you don't take some things personal, then you're clinically you would be labeled a psychopath, or at the very least a sociopath.
Kirk normally would have called her a fucking whore or something. In the past, he would say that fucking. They were all like really nice to her.
Yep. Deferential to her. Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't think it was something to get upset about. Like I can see maybe 1% why Chris was upset that they mentioned her, but I was like, it actually made it worse him getting annoyed about it.
Yeah, agreed. I totally agree. You gotta just bite down hard and swallow and roll with the punches. But hey, we're all different. I guess Chris is just not wired that way.
But also a bit stupid for like Craig and Mike to bring it up. Like if Chris and his wife have both subscribed and one doesn't subscribe
I think it's
anymore.
Interesting.
It might not even have been I'm pissed off at them. It might have been like, oh, did you see we're both subscribed to this? Well, they only need one of us, like I can get that as well.
I think that's interesting. I thought it was great content for the show. And those are the little behind the scenes things that I like. And like you said, Kirk didn't rip Chris's wife. And they talked about it. I liked it. I thought that was very interesting. I like those little, not rumors, but those little goings on. Like when Kirk would talk about behind the scenes at EEI, those were probably my favorite.
That's all I want. That's all I want. Yeah. I don't know if you remember, but at 6 a.m. when Jerry and Kirk used to start every day for the first half. Remember the first sort of half an hour, there was no ads, and it was usually just inside show stuff. And then sort of they'd get into this, usually the Patriots a bit later on, but that was always my favorite part of the show when it was
agree. Howard Stern used to do that
the night before.
Yep.
Great.
Yeah, yeah. But Howard Stern used to do that, and then these people become characters. So I don't think it was I don't think it was not bad, but I thought it was good that Mike and Craig had brought it up.
Yeah,
I
I'm
like
just
it.
saying, like, her credit card could have just expired. So I just thought it was a funny non-event story. But the reaction of Chris was the real story there. All right, I've got
Yeah,
one more
and
thing.
right, and then exactly, look what happened, right? When yeah,
Now,
the
one more
reaction.
thing before we get into the listener questions, and this is not something brought up on the show. It's a news topic, but it's something I'm
How
very
big is my
passionate.
penis?
Yeah, have you been following the controversy around the Finnish Prime Minister?
Yeah. I'm
So,
a political
you've heard of
junkie.
you've
Yeah,
heard of
I'm
a
a.
country called Finland, and that's
Yeah.
I know there's a lot of listeners out there. So
Yes,
Finland is a
you
country in
think Americans don't
Scandinavia.
know, and it's yes, it's the Finnish. The Finnish fought the
That's in
Russians
Europe.
in a war. They
Scandinavia,
beat them. The
Scandinavia is in
capital is
Europe.
Helsinki. They have the highest
Let's talk
suicide
to the
rate in any
listeners.
Western world, and is
Someone of
also the
your
home of
age would know.
Motorola.
Someone
What
is
else do you want to know?
I know you
I'm
would
a man
know.
of the world, Menace.
I'm talking
I'm
to
a
the
political
listeners. Like
junkie.
you think half of the Minifans know where Finland is? Anyway, so
Why would they?
some well,
It's like the Midwest. It's a flyover country. The
okay, yeah,
fuck is?
just ignore the rest of the world. That's America's doing so well.
So yes, I do. Yes, I have.
So
Followed
for
that,
those that haven't followed this, basically Sanna Marin, the Finnish Prime Minister, who is a fucking babe, and she's
not related to Mark Maron.
and she's like late 30s. That videos came out of her partying. I think the weekend before last, she was at a party and there was videos of her like going
To the
crazy.
club, yeah.
She was at someone's house, but it was and then she was at a club and
yeah.
People all night she was partying and people were saying, oh yeah, Prime Minister shouldn't be doing that. She did a drug test in the wake of it, so she wasn't on drugs. She was
because people accused her being
drinking
on
and having a
Dave's
good time.
drug, Molly. Yeah,
and there's a video of her sort of dancing with someone that's not a partner, but I think so. Let me just work through this. Do you think it's wrong for a prime minister who's a babe and late 30s to be sort of partying like that?
Well,
when they should be running the country?
I'm a very simple person. I would refer to that question as a loaded question.
Mm.
Being a babe, what if she wasn't by your standards a babe? Would that change things?
No, but I just think it's really important that she's clearly a great leader for that country.
So I will say this. I'm going to bring it back to Barstool. The haves and have not. If she were the leader of, I don't know, Germany, France, Britain, a bigger economy, a more strategic country, Turkey, yeah, I'd look at it differently. She's the fucking prime minister of Finland. Whoop-de-fucking-do. I don't care. It's all degrees and it's all different. But
why should the Finnish care? Like, I think it's just
it's their country.
But they should respect. Like, okay, we've actually got a prime minister who's in touch with the, she's not just locked up in a room every night reading papers. She's out there partying, talking to people, dancing. That's a bit of life.
If I'm not mistaken, Finland has one of the highest per capita rates of alcoholism. That's a problem. Their main industries are electronics, which is freaking Motorola, pulp, and chemicals. So there ain't a lot going on. And I think it's kind of a button-down society. So, hey, I think she handled it okay, but wasn't she trying to contend that those were private videos and someone leaked them, but in fact she actually posted or reposted them? If she did, that was pretty stupid.
I don't think she did that. They were leaked, but yeah, I just think it's a bait. I just think it sucks. I mean, this beautiful prime minister's having a good time. If it was a man, they wouldn't be saying this. It's clearly
I don't
thing because she's.
I disagree. I disagree. I disagree with that.
If it was a man, she'd be fine.
Disagree. She's entitled.
And then the stuff about her dancing with another guy, I don't think it's for us to judge because they could be in an open relationship. That's really common with these.
Oh, stop it with this you fucking new age open relationship bullshit. You're either in a relationship that's with one person or you're not. Okay, so shit. I can't stand that Oh, I'm in a marriage, but it's open. Then you're not in a fucking marriage.
You're just
okay?
fucking gutted that it wasn't more of an option when we were courting each other. Because it's not like a fucking weird thing now. So
All right, maybe you touched on something. But
go back in a time machine and you'd be like, okay,
I think she's entitled to still be
Lauren?
a human being and a person. I think she's entitled to still go to parties and have a good time. I don't think it's a great look, but again, she's the Finnish prime minister and she's younger. I'd be more inclined to say if she was like in her 60s and acting like that, yeah, I'm a little bit ageist. I don't think that's appropriate. She's a young person. She's having fun. I don't have a big problem with it. No.
All right, good, because I just thought it was a big.
Now, what if what's his name? That shithead to the north here, Trudeau, or who's the president of France? Macron.
Yes.
Now, what if they were doing that?
There'd be nothing because they're guys.
I disagree. I disagree.
Yeah, no,
and by the way, if Marine Le Pen, do you know who Marie Le Pen is?
No.
She's a very conservative, always candidate for prime minister that never wins, but she has a niece who has entered into French politics. I would say you might want to stop following her, my friend.
Okay, I will be.
It's Marine Le Pen's niece, right. And she's a good follow.
Beautiful. All right, that was the show stuff. I just wanted to weave in a news topic there. This is kind of a tribute to AM radio. So we certainly did that in so far. We're going to get into listener questions, but
before we move on from the AM radio,
do you have any show stuff you want to talk about? Sorry.
No. But I was wondering. I've asked you this in the past, and Jamie too. In Australia, do you guys have AM radio like we do here, where it's all talk all day, all night?
Yes. Yeah.
You do?
We do.
Okay.
Yep.
So, and is it politically?
Yes, you would love it because there's some real fucking Aussies on there just saying whatever they want. There's some real right wingers who just fucking rant and rave.
Well, I like to hear both. I like to hear rants on the left and the right. And by the way, I tend to listen to ABC Darwin.
Oh yeah.
When Indira, what's the name's on in the middle of the night? I love that show.
We used to have a famous radio broadcaster who's now just retired last year called Alan Jones. If you can find any of his stuff, I'd be really curious what you think. He was very, very polarizing. All right, let's move on to Alan Jones. Let's move on to listener questions. But before we do that, we did have one question asking about Tim's Stern call, so I've got it here. Do you need to preface this, or should I haven't listened to it. Should I just play it?
Yeah, I'll preface it real quick. One, Sigmund Freud Minahan, I owe him a lot of credit because he did a lot of homework, and so did bio dude James in Plymouth, who I'm hoping to connect with this week. They did a lot of work to try to find it because I had mentioned before that I had been on, but I couldn't remember when. So kudos to them. Pat Cooper, do you know who Pat Cooper is?
Nope.
All right, so Pat Cooper is still alive. I think he's in his 90s. Very acerbic comedian. His heyday was, as you can imagine, in the 60s and 70s, and then into the 80s. Howard used to have Pat on because he was guaranteed to rant and explode on any time that he had come in. Any time at all. I would say he would even make bets. I can say one word and get this guy going on a rant. But when he'd go on a rant, it was hilarious. He'd talk about his family. He's very famous for he called his son Michael, I think, or his son Michael called in and said what a bad dad he was. So Pat Cooper was a comedian who was kind of at the end of his career when this call happened back in 2000, so 22 years ago. Jesus.
August 8, 2000.
It's not funny. Right, it's not a funny call, but it's a claim to fame.
Right. So like most of the show so far, it's not funny. Here we go.
Yes, you're on with Pat.
Hey, Pat.
Yeah. Yes.
Sabamas. I heard you coming to Boston to do a show.
Yeah, don't threaten me.
I'm going to throw a big fat Italian tomato at your head.
That's okay. That's okay. Oh, what is that?
I hate you.
All right. Why do you hate Pat?
Hate? He smells like an Italian sub.
Oh. What kind of humor we got today?
He's one of the new comedians.
That's Bob Nelson. All right, enough of you.
You know what?
That's not funny.
This is why I say you can't get off stage.
All right, David Brennan. That was Melissa. Yes, you're on with Pat.
Hey, Pat.
Yeah.
Great stuff. There we go.
So I was at work. This is when there was no work from home. I remember this is downtown Boston. I was at work, and it's like talking below my desk with the phone below my desk. This is before soft phones and everything. So handheld phone, and I worked for a phone company, so there was no long distance charge. Stuttering John answered, and to get on that show was near impossible. I had been on the wrap up show quite a few times, but the actual Stern show could never get on. And Stuttering John said, "What do you want to say?" I said, "I hate Pat Cooper." He said, "Hold on a second," and that was all I had to say. And Howard put me right up. Wasn't very funny, but for me and my friends, it was a badge of honor.
Love it. Thanks for sending that across so I could play it. All right, now let's get into listener questions.
Thank you for playing that.
We've got a lot. So Ted Sarandis, would you agree
Great
that
Minifandom.
the Clemmer hate on Kirk's part is largely unjustified? Tim?
No,
Okay.
I don't agree. No, I think it is justified.
Yeah.
Kirk has spelled it out many times. Why he hates him now, and
do you agree with me though that
Kirk
kind of has had it both ways? Like when Clemmer started to flirt with Barstool, Kirk could have just cut him loose then and said, "Okay, do your best, but I'm not going to have anything to do with it." Whereas instead, Kirk pushed him towards Barstool by getting him in the Idol and telling Dave to hire him. So, do you feel Kirk's trying to have it both ways?
No, from what I think when Chris showed up at the Wilbur show, that really was the final straw. I think up until then it was, he's gone. Good luck with your new life. Don't talk to me again. And I think him showing up, you could see. I mean, Kirk at first he was like, "What are you doing here?" And then he was just pissed, just fucking pissed. And so no.
Okay. Next question from Ted. Do you anticipate any exciting new shows to the KMS YouTube network for the fall?
Yes.
No, you do.
Men is
Okay,
live.
good.
Men is live.
Yep. I hope so.
By the way, do you know who Ted Sarandis is?
No. Do you?
Oh yeah. So that account is a parody account. There was a former EEI host, Ted Sarandis, and he was great. He was a one-man show, and he would just rant, and he was just classic old man yelling into the wind. That's who Ted Sarandis
I think you meant, do I know who who is?
Oh, I'm sorry.
No.
Yeah.
But Visionless Dave thinks he got a photo of him at the Wilbur from footage. I'm not sure it's him. Apart from the new shows, one thing I think that is clear is with Dave Cullinane, since he's taken over the show, he doesn't care about the network at all. And I think he's really trying to push Kirk into more stuff with Barstool people, which we've seen in the last 6 months, and it's paying off. So I think Cull's focus is more on what they can do with Barstool rather than what they can do with the network.
I don't totally agree with that. My feeling is, and Dave has said this, Dave would like more of a, well, I guess you know what? Because of what I'm going to say, I guess you are right. Dave wants more of a video type of show, and Kirk is doing a lot more YouTube shows when he does a show. And that is definitely a Barstool thing, right? They always, and I will say, now that they're doing the show, and I hear Dave, I'm always like, well, where's Dave? I want to see Dave's face when Kirk's yelling at him, stuff like that. So I get it. Yeah, totally get it. And I think I know Kirk's not thrilled with it, but
it's also, I mean, it's also interesting because when I was in studio doing Minifandom, Kirk asked me how I could improve the show, and I did say more live on YouTube stuff. Weird.
See, it's all you. It's all you.
Would Tim consider doing a crank call special with Blind Mike's daddy?
Mm-hmm.
Yep, great.
Yeah, what I consider crank call is all I need to hear. Yes, 100%.
Will the case be out in 2022?
I have no fucking clue.
Yeah.
I'm not a huge fan of the case. I'm not a what do you call it?
True crime guy.
I'm not a true crime fan.
Yeah. I think it's interesting how
I'd rather commit the crime than listen to true crime.
We know how little they talk about the case, which means there's definitely a lot of legal stuff going on. So
this one, the one with Dr. Dan, I can't. That one I can't wait for. That one I'm
Yeah,
really
I'm
looking
thinking
forward
September, October. We'll get it.
to. Yeah. I can't wait.
Minifandom, because Kirk has said fall, so it's coming.
Oh, did he? Yeah.
So this is Minifandom. This is a parody account.
Is
Probably
this your former intern?
No, this is like Vision.
The one you were so happy about your diversity hire that turned out to be absolute, just completely
Dog shit.
unreliable. Yeah.
Yeah, he's dead. He's probably dead now. What Minifandom? Listener questions is definitely one of my favorite segments. What research do you think Carl was doing on OnlyFans for the case? Is that for a separate case from Dr. Dan or somehow related? I mean,
Dentist porn, no doubt in my mind.
Yeah, absolutely. Dentist porn and research. As soon as Carl got that show OnlyFans account, I'm sure he was on there all the time. I mean, he sounds like he masturbates.
Why wouldn't you?
Yeah, I'm not judging. Suburban Tug Time. Speaking of masturbating, Suburban
Great
Tug
name.
Time.
Great name.
What do you think Dave meant when he said a few episodes back that live golf is the single biggest stumbling block to booking couples?
I saw that question. I have no idea. I don't get, like, is Freddie Couples, he's not involved with Liv, right? He's too old for that, right? They're not signing.
No, but I guess maybe Carl going to Liv, wanting to do stuff with them. Maybe he feels if they do that, then there'll be no chance of getting couples after that.
No clue. No idea.
Okay. Ned Snark. Another one in
Great
your
man.
age bracket. Another one in your age bracket. How much did R&R ticket sales increase from Kirk's involvement? 30K, under, over. I'll take the over. Well, I think we said it before. I said, 10,000 subscribers. Yeah.
But 10,000 at how much per pop? Was it 30?
Yep.
Yeah. So Ned was right. Yeah.
300K.
Ned's a very smart guy, my friend. Very smart man.
He's very, very smart. Melissa Gorman, another beautiful, wonderful Minna lady. She writes, one of my
favorite Minifans. I was thrilled to finally meet her.
Same.
She's awesome. Liz. Yes, she's great.
Two of my favorite Minifans together. Does Tim have a favorite prank call
that I've made? Yes. it was easy pickings. I think it's between the Dr. Laura, when I said when me and Mrs. LK called in and got on, and the fisting call to the guy in Rhode Island. But that's an easy one, but that's my humor. I have very simple, stupid humor, and I was laughing when the guy didn't know what fisting was, and I was describing it to him. I think that's my favorite.
I like the
I don't listen to myself. But
was it Marjorie? Jim and Marjorie, when you called up?
Oh, yeah.
What was it? I don't know. The Prime Minister.
The Senator. Senator Warren.
Yes.
Yeah. Senator.
That was great.
Senator. Yeah.
Next question. This is from Melissa still. Do you prepare for your calls at all, or is it all improv?
90. So I would say, unlike what Mutt would accuse me of, writing things down, 98% improv. I'll just listen to what the topic is, and then I'm usually walking my dog when I'm listening to these shows. Then I'll go home and make a call. Sometimes I'll this is going to make you mad. I'll run it by BMD and say, do you think this might be a funny idea? Because he loves prank calls. He is a prank call connoisseur. BMD?
Breaking news.
Yeah. So, by the way, congratulations to BMD becoming a father for the second time.
Yeah, poor bastard. The second one,
protege.
The killer. Second one is the fucking killer.
No, number three. Number three broke me.
Well, I stopped at 2 because the second one was a killer.
We went for 4, and it was so easy.
You've got 4.
I do. They're all mine too.
Idiot. Right, John Stewart. Can you explain the still president Alex Steen?
Wait, is this the character John Stewart or the real John Stewart himself?
I'm not sure he knows either.
I love John.
Look, John, if you go and listen to the latest Dave Portnoy show, Still Presidente does get into it, but basically a video was posted, I think, that contained Alex Stein on it, and then it was taken down not long after because it had some stuff that wasn't great about gambling, and there's very strict guidelines on what they can post to Barstool regarding gambling. And I think the the allegation against Portnoy is now he's got completely soft, taking down videos and stuff. So I don't really want to get into it because I think it's not.
Did
really
you see
for
the
this show.
Stein? Some people hate Stein. Some people love him. I like and dislike. Sometimes I don't think he's very funny. I thought that one was hilarious. I don't think he's that funny, but I thought the Las Vegas one was hilarious, and I thought Dave responding to it was also very funny. Now they're in a little tit for tat, but I don't think it's like, oh, Dave's a big pussy. I mean, everybody's got a master. Dave's masters own a fucking casino. I get it. What are you gonna do?
Dave's made some concessions for like $300 million. I think we'd all do the same.
Thank you. And who's the first one to say it's about the money? Dave. Exactly. So I don't know what the big issue is there. But.
Bobby Fitz, are you trying to become
my man, Fitzy?
Are you trying to become the new wrap-up show?
That's you.
No, Bobby, I am not trying to become the new wrap-up show. We are. Minifandom is, as I said, an extra episode. I'm happy to support the network, do wrap-up shows. But no, I'm not trying to become the new wrap-up show.
Menace, I will also say, when you refer to Bobby Fitz, to you, it's Mr. Fitz.
Okay, fuck him. Minahan, wonderful. How does Red, my former co-host, find the time to be so active on Twitter? He's posting comments and clips non-stop, yet can't find time to do Minifandom. Now, Minahan, wonderful. I have to say, I have thought the same thing. The fact that, Red said he couldn't do Minifandom anymore because he's too busy. He's got too many commitments, blah, 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 blah. But he's never been on Twitter more. So I guess there is some difference between recording a show and posting on Twitter, but
yeah, it
not
only
much.
takes a couple seconds, right?
Yeah, but he's on there all the time. Like if you put all the time to, he's probably spending put together like 10 hours a week on Twitter. So could he just not save one of those hours for Menace?
Oh yeah, I don't agree. You Menace, full well to post something on Twitter takes a matter of a second or minutes at most, and that's if you get spell checking. Yes, and I would disagree with you. And I miss hearing Red on the show. I haven't heard him on the last 3 or 4 shows of Minifandom, so I do miss him. And I just wish someone like me or loved me as much as he loves Cullinane. I need someone like that in my life.
Okay, next question from the birthday girl, Lauren Lynn. What are some Minifan rough and rowdy matchups you'd like to see?
Okay, first I want to clarify something. When I called in, this was not to be rough and rowdy, and I'm going to say it. It was to be rough and retarded. So let's just make sure we're clear on that. So that was fully my intent. Yes, I still say that word and a few others that have gone by the wayside, but I guess being a senior citizen, as you say, I get a pass on some of it. I wasn't thinking about fights as much as matching Minifans up against each other for certain activities, but the fight piece was always in the back of my mind. And I think there could be some really, really good ones. I think there are people out there who would genuinely like to fight each other. I mean, what are you thinking?
Well, I mean, you've got to do it on sizing. That's the thing. So there's been a lot of beefs, but say Justin Trudell against Clemmer. I mean, you can't do that.
No, right.
So I was thinking, okay, 2 things.
That would be like Justin. Don't you think it would be like Justin versus Red? They're both big guys. Yes. Red's older, but
I've got some ideas. So I thought Ted Sellers versus Blind Mike would be a funny fight.
That would be interesting. And my money, geez. Well, what if they did MMA style?
Well, it would just be funny, like a blind guy walking around trying to punch a guy in a wheelchair. I mean,
that's a good matchup.
Then there's also the little people. There's a lot of very, very short Minifans. So I thought you could
midgets. You mean
whatever you want to call them?
I call them midgets. Yeah.
Okay, you could.
So like me versus you.
You should go on Montante as well. You do great there.
No. All right. For one, let me just clarify something. Like I just said, there are certain words I still use that I don't think are offensive. I still say Jimmy's everywhere, and apparently that's racist now. Fuck that. I'm not changing. Secondly, how is it less offensive to call someone a little person? You and I, we're little guys, right? You and I.
Yeah.
How is it less offensive to call someone a little person?
Yeah, agree.
What do you? You're not as much of a person. You're a little person.
I'm not one of those little people, so I don't know. Tim.
You and I could absolutely get a job at the Keebler Elf factory making cookies.
Yes, but we don't qualify.
What if you and I mean, we're on the shorter side. We're not the shortest Minifans, but
yeah, I'd beat the shit out of you. So
we'd be a good matchup. You'd get me
I used
with
to do boxing as a kid.
I would love this. You would get me with.
Oh, you'd be like, "Oh, my leg's cramping. Stop the fight.
Spasm.
Stop the fight.
Not cramp.
Oh,
Spasm. Spasm.
Let me out of here. Let me out of here. Man, just take me home or I'm going to fucking kill you."
I'd rather do an MMA. And I think you and I would be interesting because you'd get me with your youth, because I've got you by a few years, but I can take a punch. That's the thing. Yeah. Sure, and I've been punched many times, but I don't inflict many. I think you and I would be a good matchup, but you'd be high. The
little people,
midgets.
Ted and Mike, other beefs, like obviously we'll get into it, but Sneakers v Tim Ridgewards. I'd love to see Tim beat the shit out of him. Also, I'd love to see like a Minna lady fight. Like,
yes, that would be awesome.
Lauren against Dee Dee. That'd be a good
I don't think that you've met Lauren. I never met Dee Dee, but I think she's a lot taller than Lauren.
Yeah. Well, just some Minna lady mud wrestling would be good too. Like they don't even have to fight. Just chuck them in there.
It's you like Cullinan? Like you're gonna bang one out before you start work today?
Maybe like send B&B and Lauren in there and Allison and just say have some fun. Right. So that's our thoughts on Minifan rough and rowdy matchups. I mean, Lauren asked.
You have thought a lot about that.
I did. All right. And last question from Nipples Gearhead Mike. Am I a bad Minifan because I really could not have cared less who won the rough and rowdy fight? So, GHM, all I'm going to say to you is you're not a bad Minifan because you didn't care. You admitted you stole the fight. You found an illegal stream and watched it. So you literally stole money from Kirk. I think Carl should sack you as his assistant after that. And stupid of you to put that online.
I was offered, but I declined.
All right.
I think that happens all the time. It's like the old pay-per-views. I don't think it makes him a bad Minifan. I mean,
no, he's a great Minifan, great guy, but it's certainly
it's not his thing.
It's a bit like when Tim got out of the car. It's brand damaging.
It is
brand damaging.
Also, it makes him a pussy loser.
That's right. All right, let's we've got a couple quick things to go before we wrap up Minifandom. It's the Minifan World segment. There was a wild stream where Tim Ridgewards and Sneakers faced off. Did you see this?
I did not.
It was.
I saw. I know they were.
They were fighting online
chirping on Twitter about something. Yeah,
it was about sort of they were chirping about comments made about Sneakers being a pussy in front of Harmon outside the Wilbur, and then Sneakers is just a scumbag. I'm out on Sneakers. He said stuff about Tim's wife on that one-on-one thing, and I just think when you start to go there, you've lost. I mean, I think honestly, Sneakers should just fuck off. He's not like. I think it's all talk. Like when I met him, I'm sure he's okay, but he's just got this little part of his brain that is so desperate for attention that he has to say these awful things. So it's not a big deal. I just think he's a prick. And anyone that thinks it's funny to play slap and tickle with Sneakers, in my book, you're a prick as well.
All right. I didn't see the fight, but.
I just don't think you need to say shit about someone's wife.
I agree with that. I agree.
Montante's
kids are off limits.
Yeah. Montante's World has done 3 good episodes since my last.
Oh, I've heard them all.
The Bio Dude was good.
I'm a religious listener to Montante's.
Fuck off. I should kick you. All right. You just said you haven't listened to the last 3 and you listened to Bio Dude, BA, and so you listened to Real Chuckwagon yesterday?
No, I did listen to. No, I listened to Bio Dude because I love Montante.
So do I.
And I wanted to hear James Bio Dude. He's quite a character. So I thought that was very interesting, which also made me feel bad. But I know I'm not supposed to because I have friends who have died from alcoholism, and I didn't know he was sober, and I had said I was coming down his way for vacation. If you want to grab a drink, and being an upstanding gentleman that he is, he said sure, not knowing that he didn't drink. So, but I don't feel guilty.
I'm pretty sure it's just
I'm not the
euphemism.
alcoholic.
Like, if you said you want to grab a drink with me, I'd say yes.
Yeah.
And I'd have a Coke.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
So yeah,
But I thought
Bio-
that one was interesting. I thought it was very very interesting. He's a very open
and he
book.
knows the show as well. He's really into the show.
And I
So
want to
I-
hear his story. And I think, and he will hear this, he may have a man purse.
Okay.
Bio dude. He might have a man purse. Yeah.
Nothing wrong with that.
Okay.
He also Montante also had Barstool Advisor and a Chuck Wagon, and I believe there's a new episode.
I haven't listened, but I'm definitely
tomorrow.
going to listen to those.
Yeah, I believe. And can you listen to the old Minifandom episodes?
Yeah, I
believe
can listen. I'm on vacation now. I can catch up. Work's been brutal.
So just and I think there's a new episode of Montante's World coming tomorrow, so keep an eye out for that one. I'm recording this on Wednesday night US time. And
this isn't it. This isn't in the future. Do you want to make pretend we're talking on like Thursday? That was wild.
There's a new show, a book club show. Now this is not on the network. This is, I think, on Hit the Post network. But that's no surprise because you can't get Carl to put anything up. But I think Biodude and Sigmund Freudahan are doing a book club and wrap up show.
James did mention that on Montante's World. He mentioned that.
Yes.
I got to check that out. You would not
they asked me to go on. I'm not a reader, so I didn't go on.
Now, see, I know you don't think us Americans read, but I'm a voracious reader. I'm not fast, but I read for at least a half hour every night. Every night. In fact, on vacation, I got 4 books from the library. I'll maybe get through one of them. So I'm interested. At the moment? I love fiction. Fiction. Love spy novels. So I got a Ken Follett book, and he's an Aussie writer, John Birmingham, probably my favorite writer.
Great.
JB from up in Brisbane. Love his books. A guy named Cullen. He does a podcast, military history podcast. He's a huge Minifan. He's a big reader. He and I have been sharing book recommendations, and he.
Is this Kevin Cullen?
No. His first name's Cullen. And I'll shoot you his podcast. If you like military history, it's fantastic. It's excellent, and he's got a great voice too. That's what you need to hear because I know you're in the world.
So keep an eye out for the book club show with Biodude and
I'm looking forward to that.
All right, so that was the Minifan World stuff. The KMS Network.
Wait, how do you not read? You don't read any books?
It's just a time thing. So I do, like when I'm on holiday, I read. So I love reading World War II history books. Like I can read.
Yeah, you mentioned that before. Okay.
So it's more now. I'm so busy with businesses and kids. By the end of the night, I'm probably just listening to a podcast. But I actually found out yesterday I need reading glasses. So maybe when I've got reading glasses, it will be a bit easier for me to read.
So all right. You don't just have one lying around. So you go in the shitter.
Yep.
You yanky, you wanky. That takes you all of what, 2.5 minutes, maybe. Yep. And then you're waiting to take a dump. You're not reading.
Nope. If I'm probably on my phone.
Jeez, you're missing out, brother.
I read all the time when I can.
Got to stimulate your mind.
I've read hundreds of books, Tim. You're making out like I've never read a book. Like I read a book when I was in the States.
It's Encyclopedia Brown and Nancy Drew don't count.
The book I read about this in the States was a book where it's about a murder mystery that's involved with cricket, where a cricketer murders someone and it's a true story. Anyway.
Oh, okay.
All right, so I like to end every Minifandom with a segment dedicated to Red's parents about what are they watching in heaven or what are they missing out on in heaven. And, Charlie as well, my poor cat is.
I wonder why Red's not.
I told Charlie before we put him down, I said, go up there and sit by Red's parents' feet. So they're all there together. So I watched She-Hulk, the first episode. Really good.
Awful.
Really
good. It looks awful.
Yep. I watched Gaslit, which is the mini series about the Nixon Watergate thing with Julia Roberts. Did you see that?
No, I'm gonna have to check that out. All
I
right.
think you'd love it. 8 parts with Sean Penn as John McCarthy, I think his name is, and yeah, it was fantastic.
Really, Jeff? Okay.
I started watching the new Game of Thrones House of Dragon show, turned it off after halfway. I never watched I watched some of Game of Thrones, got bored.
Never
I got
seen it.
bored with this. It's
I
not
haven't
for
seen
me.
one episode.
Not
Not
for
being
me.
a snob, at the first episode I put on probably 3 or 4 times, and I just turn it off. I'm like, I can't get into this, but everybody raves about it.
Yeah. Just not for me. I did watch a great movie. It's an old movie called The Darkest Hour with Gary Oldman playing Winston Churchill.
Seen it.
I'd seen
Yep.
it.
He did a pretty
Great
good
movie.
job. Yeah.
Loved it. I'd seen it before, but I watched it this week. So if you're looking for a fun, sorry,
Well, I
not, a
guess
fun not a fun movie.
yeah,
But if you're looking
yeah,
for
fun one
some
about
fun, watch a
war
World War
and
II
death.
movie. Yeah.
Well, you like World War II. There were 3 movies that I watched between last night and today.
Oh, okay, go.
The Yards, which is an all-star cast. James Caan, Mark Wahlberg, what's her name? Kate Beckinsale, I think it is. Joaquin Phoenix. The story's not even that great, but it is Jim. I think maybe it's not Sophia Loren, but the woman looks like Sophia Loren. It's from like early 2000s, and the story's not even that good, but it was interesting. It's jam-packed with stars, and a lot of people who weren't stars at the time that became stars on like HBO through series. Great Scottish movie called Bonnie Thompson. I highly recommend it. Highly recommend it.
What's it about?
Twist. It's that guy from. Remember that the Scottish guy who they had the dance troupe way back in the 2000s. They had a movie about these guys that need to raise money, and they're in a dance troupe. Anyway, he's the star, and it's about a barber who turns into kind of a serial killer by accident. But it's very interesting. It's fun. It's quirky, funny. British movie. I highly recommend it.
Good recommendations.
Yeah.
Now, I've just got one question for you about what are you watching? Have you noticed there are some streaming services that are starting to release new shows weekly? Do you prefer the binge model where they drop, here's 10 episodes of something, watch it all?
Binge,
or do you prefer
no question.
You're a binge guy?
Binge guy, 100%. I will save up, like say it is a weekly show now. I'll wait until there's like 4 or 5 backed up before I even bother watching it.
Interesting.
And what about you? Are you a weekly guy? I'm
thinking I enjoy weekly more. I've been thinking recently that I like the having something to look forward to. Okay, this show's dropping tonight, so that's good. I like being able to watch a show and then I might listen to podcasts where they review what's been on that week, so you get a reaction to that episode building up to the next episode. So say Star Wars stuff, I love watching the episode and then listen to a couple of podcasts about it, and then you've got the new episode coming up. So I like the model where they slow drip. And I was thinking, as someone our age, or obviously you're
or my age,
that was the thing we grew up on. Tonight's this show.
This might surprise you. There are things that I embrace in the new world that I didn't grow up with that I love. I love technology. I love binging. I'd like not having to I used to have appointment television for a lot of things. One of them was Sopranos. Me and my brother-in-law, every Sunday night, religiously, he would come over, we'd have wine, some food, and watch Sopranos together every Sunday night for how many seasons it was on. But the thing, this is why I don't like the weekly drip. There were some Soprano shows that were total clunkers, and after the show, it'd be like, what the fuck? That was terrible. And you wait all week, and it's a total letdown. So that's one of the reasons I like the binge. And I love, the other thing is, with today, there's so much to choose from that I get where you're coming from. In the past, I couldn't wait. Like The Wire is my favorite show of all time. Couldn't wait for every episode. If that show were to come back, I would watch it every week as it dropped. But there's so much other stuff to watch in between that I can put it off. Like The Boys, I love that show on Prime. I put it off. My son would tell me, there's like 3 or 4 and I wouldn't bother yet. Wait, it's almost done. So I watch other things, but I really was chomping at the bit to watch that. So I get what you're saying, but I do like the binge, 100%. Love it.
Okay.
Love it.
Yeah, I
but
didn't like The
when it
Boys.
comes to books, I only like to read books in hardcover. I don't like paperback, and I don't like them on a tablet or Kindle, whatever it is. So there's my old man coming out.
Right. Well, we settled it. Well,
We did.
I think we've come to the end. It's almost an hour and a half of live
geez.
radio.
If only.
Tim, thanks for joining me on Minifandom. What's your plan for the next couple of weeks? Are you going to disappear again? What's happening?
I didn't disappear. I let other people have the spotlight. Well, I'm going to go pour myself another wine. I'm on vacation through Monday. So I will be trying to get monkeypox and then try to get the vaccine in that order. And got some prank call station. Oh, a great Minifan Stevie Live to tape put me onto something that I'm going to try to call into tomorrow if I'm not out on a whale watch.
Beautiful. All right, well, everyone, thanks for
prank calls. Getting back to what I do: prank calls.
Good. That's your strength, not car.
It is. I agree. Exactly. Yep.
No limits. All right, everybody. Right. Thanks for listening to Minifandom. Those that watch live, great. Thanks for everybody listening on the podcast. If you haven't left a review, go and rate the show on Spotify or Apple. I read the reviews out. There've been none lately, so all you hundreds of listeners out there, thousands of Minifans, leave a review. Tim, thanks again.
Thanks, buddy. Thanks for having me on. I had a